today's Senate runoff election, but only 2 seats. The winners will determine whether Democrats or Republicans can control the chamber under Joe Biden's administration.
So let's check in with our political analysts. We are very excited to have them join us here again tonight to provide insight and analysis. Dr. Rashad, Richey, and Jake Evans.
Rashad, we're going to start with you. Vice President-elect Joe Biden says electing both Ossoff and Warnock when he was here to campaign, he said their win would lead to a $2,000 stimulus check. Critics say this is buying votes. Is this political theater, or can the Dems back this promise up?
Well, the Dems can definitely back the promise up. Is a political theater, perhaps, but remember, President Donald Trump played the same political theater, and it really resonated with a lot of voters. So good politics does not mean bad policy. So this is good politics and also good policy, according to a recent survey by most American workers who have been adversely affected by COVID-19. So I don't think people care if it's playing politics or not. They care if they're going to get to $2,000 or not.
Jake, the Democrats are united. The Republicans clearly are not. Can Republicans win while their party is in the midst of so much infighting?
Yes, the Republicans can absolutely win. I think this election is going to be much closer than it ever should be and that it needs to be. Georgia is still a Republican state. If you look back to the general election, David Perdue won by 88,000 votes, and that was with a Libertarian in the race. So Georgia is undoubtedly still a red state, but Republicans are going up current and more up current than they went in a very, very long time. I will tell you, as a Republican, I have never seen GOPers in the establishment camp more concerned in a runoff election than this one. So I'll be very interested to see what happens tonight.
You know, the stakes are really high in this. And Rashad, Joe Biden, he won Georgia because of higher turnout in Atlanta and moderate voters in Atlanta suburbs who were turned off by President Trump's personality. Does that equation hold off or hold out, will it hold up for the runoffs?
Yeah, sure it will. And there's something different with this runoff election. President Donald Trump created a narrative that said, do not vote in this election because the election is rigged. Well, that created a contrast inside of the Republican Party where a mixed message had to be dealt with. So based on a survey done 2 weeks ago, 55% of Georgia voters who consider themselves to be very conservative are saying that they are likely not to vote in this election, not because they don't like Republicans, but because they feel as if their vote does not count because, according to them, this is already a rigged election.
Well, Jake, let me throw that at you because the Republican voters in the state of Georgia have been getting a lot of mixed messages from the candidates, from the president, from outside agitators who want to have a say in whether the election for president was rigged and whether this runoff election today will be one whose results we can trust. What do you think about Republican voters who are throwing up their hands and saying, you know what, I'm not buying any of this, and so I'm just going to stay home?
Yeah. Well, this is good. Listen, back in November, we unveiled a lot of issues with our voting system, but I can tell you Republicans are more prepared for this election today. There's 6,000 poll workers on the ground. There is election day operations personnel from all over the country here in Georgia. So Georgians need to be confident that although there have been a lot of issues, they're being addressed. But the most important thing, Rick, to look at is North Georgia. North Georgia going into today was looking at turnout between 60 and 70%, which was lagging the rest of the country or the rest of the state. And that's not a coincidence. North Georgia is Trump's battleground. That is where he hits numbers upwards of 90%. And that's why he was in Dalton yesterday. The lines in North Georgia are the longest throughout the state. But what's interesting is in the south rural part of Georgia, the lines aren't quite as long. So it's something that I think you have to be careful to guard the front door, but you can't let them in the back door. And so it'll be very interesting to see as the numbers come in tonight.
All right, Jake Evans and Rashad Richey, you're with us tonight for the long haul. We appreciate it, and we'll be back with you throughout the next 2.5 hours of our newscast for your political insight.